Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, ask and answer a question, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching The Comic Hero Show. Now kick that intro.
One, two, three, four.
Welcome to this week's edition of The Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. This month is Birth Defects Awareness Month. I'm going to touch base on that later on, but for right now, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. Alright, on last week's episode, I asked, in the comics, which Marvel character does Luke Cage share a child with? Well, the correct answer is Jessica Jones. And 6 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, their names get entered in the drawing for a free tee. And that drawing takes place right now. So the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is Gabby Dickey from Spring Hill, Louisiana. So congratulations, Gabby. You win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. Alright, here's the question for next week's episode, and this is both a Superman and a Steel question. Which Star Trek actor recently wrote a Superman-related miniseries entitled Steelworks? Was it A, LeVar Burton, B, Michael Dorn, or C, Avery Brooks? Alright, here's some hints to help. The first hint is that this actor, in addition to writing this miniseries, years earlier, he played the voice of Steel on both Superman the Animated Series and Justice League Unlimited. And then the second hint, this actor is best known for his role as Lieutenant Commander Worf on Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek Picard. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. So, I gotta ask, any questions?
Questions I walk around in, questions I didn't thrive in, questions I will survive in, questions.
This question comes from Richard Stevens from Duboc, Louisiana. He asks, what's your favorite movie adaptation of a comic? Well, Richard, for a long time it was Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut. By the way, the Richard Donner cut is a little different than the theatrical release. Now, growing up, I would watch the theatrical release whenever it was on TV. As much as I liked it, there were a few things that I didn't really like in there. I mean, a few things that I kind of raised an eyebrow, especially how Lois found out that Clark and Superman were one and the same. And then the whole thing with the S.H.I.E.L.D. thing when he went up against General Zod, Ursa, and Non near the end of it. I didn't understand. And then I found out that the only reason for all that was because the reason that the theatrical release wasn't, in my opinion, as good as the Richard Donner cut, which by the way came out in the summer of 2006, was because Richard Donner was fired. The executive producers of the movie fired Richard Donner because they really weren't pleased with the pace that it was taking to film the movie. And so they fired him. They hired Richard Lester and found out that the scenes that I was just talking about in the movie were directed by him. They kept some scenes that Donner had done, but then there were plenty of them that Lester had done, and that's why in my opinion the movie wasn't as great as well, I'm not going to say it wasn't great. I'm going to say I didn't really care for it. But then fast forward to the summer of 2006, when I found out that Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, was released directly to DVD, I wasted no time in going out and buying it. And I came back and I watched it, and I loved it. There were a lot of awesome things that we didn't see in a theatrical release that we saw in this that really made a lot more sense than what happened in the theatrical release. Now, I said that was, but then as of last summer, it has been Fantastic Four: First Steps. That movie from start to finish was amazing. I mean, the casting was great. The music by Michael Giacchino. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But Michael Giacchino, he also did the music to The Incredibles, Star Trek, and Lost. But that movie from top to bottom was awesome. Now I know a few folks were like talking mess because the Silver Surfer was Shauna Ball as opposed to Norrin Radd. But you have to remember, this movie took place in the 60s and also on a parallel Earth. It wasn't on the same Earth as the rest of Marvel Studios. And there's an extra scene, actually 2 extra scenes, but the first one will really throw you in a loop, and it'll also get you ready for what's to come later this year with Avengers Doomsday. But both of those movies, I love them. Now, I'm not going to try to give away a whole lot with the Fantastic Four: First Steps because I know a lot of y'all haven't seen it, but I'm urging y'all, if you have not seen it, if you have Disney Plus, go watch. And if you don't have Disney Plus, it's on Blu-ray and DVD. But I promise you will, if you're a fan of the Fantastic Four or anything Marvel, or even comics in general, you will love that movie. As Gayle King from CBS Mornings would say, don't walk, run. All right, really enjoying these questions y'all are asking me. Y'all keep them up. And remember, they can have anything to do with comics or anything within the realm, or they can have something to do with me in terms of the hobby or the show, but please, no personal or tasteless questions. Don't ask who let the dogs out, because I don't know. All right, let's get to the comics I bought this week. Comic books I bought this week. All right, here we go. First up is Absolute Green Lantern number 10. Absolute Superman number 15. Adventures of Superman Book of L number 5. The Amazing Spider-Man number 19. Batgirl number 15. Batman number 5. The Blue Falcon and Dynamite number 5. DCKO Night Fight number 3. JSA number 15. Nova Centurion number 3. Ultimate Wolverine number 13. Ultimate X-Men number 23. Venom number 253. Wolverine number 14. And finally, X-Men number 23. Alright, that's 15, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 14,305. Alright, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. And here's a question again for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. Which Star Trek actor recently wrote a Superman-related miniseries entitled Steelworks? Was it A, LeVar Burton, B, Michael Dorn, or C, Avery Brooks? Alright, here's some hints to help. The first hint is that in addition to writing this miniseries, years earlier, he played the voice of Steel on Superman the Animated Series and Justice League Unlimited. And then the second hint, this actor is best known for his role as Lieutenant Commander Worf on Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek Picard. Oh, and I just want to throw this one in for free for all you folks that watch Cartoon Network or are fans of it that during the late 90s. This actor also played the voice of I Am Weasel on Cow and Chicken. Thought I'd throw that one in. Alright, everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Gabby Dickey from Spring Hill, Louisiana, who won a free tee on this episode. Now, this month is Birth Defects Awareness Month. Now, birth defects are structural changes present at birth that can affect almost any part of the body. They may affect how the body looks, works, or both. Birth defects can cause problems in overall health, body development, or how the body works. Birth defects may range from mild to serious health conditions. Birth defects can happen at any time during pregnancy, but most happen during the first 3 months of pregnancy, which is also known as the first trimester. And this is when a baby's organs are forming. Now, birth defects also can happen later in pregnancy when a baby's organs are still growing and developing. About 1 in 33 babies, which is roughly 3%, is born with a birth defect in the United States each year. Some birth defects don't need treatment or can be treated easily, while others need quick treatment because they can cause serious problems or even death. Now, the most common birth defects are cleft lip and cleft palate, clubfoot, congenital heart defects, gastroschisis, which is a birth defect of the abdominal wall, hearing loss, microcephaly, which is when a baby's head is smaller than usual, and neural tube defects, or NFTs. And now, these are birth defects of the brain and spinal cord. Now, the cause of most birth defects is currently unknown. Now, I personally know some folks that were born with birth defects and are still living with them now, and I know some that had passed on since then. And if you're watching this and you're living with a birth defect, or if you are a family member of someone with a birth defect, or if you're a family member of someone who is no longer with us due to complications of their birth defects, I love y'all, and this episode is for y'all. Alright, this is a Birth Defects Awareness Comic Hero tee, and if you would like one, you can find them on the new site, or the new home of my merch, which is comicheroshop.myshopify.com. And they are $17, and I will donate half of each purchase to the March of Dimes. Alright, here's the roadhead for the show. On next week's episode, I'm raising awareness of cervical cancer. Then on episodes 551 through 553, I'm celebrating Mardi Gras, y'all. This desk is going to be decked out in Mardi Gras decor. I'm going to have the Mardi Gras tree, and I'm also going to wear some Comic Hero tees in observance of the 3 colors of Mardi Gras, which are green, gold, and purple. And they all represent 3 different principles, and I'm going to share with y'all those principles, and then some did some Mardi Gras history and other Mardi Gras trivia that you probably didn't even know. All right, if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, welcome. And as soon as you're done, hit subscribe. If you're watching this on the Comic Book Lovers Facebook page, welcome. And as soon as you're done, go on YouTube and hit subscribe. And if you're watching this on the Louisiana Delta Content Careers Facebook page, welcome. And as soon as you're done, go on YouTube and hit subscribe and share. I mean, I know that y'all enjoy watching the show, but if you are watching the show, you are automatically a goodwill ambassador to the show and the brand. So therefore, you are required to get the word out. I can't do it alone. I need some help. So be the help. All right, I'm Victor Nolly on the Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 550. My gosh, the 550th episode. Woo! So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero!